You can probably imagine yourself standing in the condiment aisle of a large UK supermarket on a weekend afternoon. The bright lights shine down, and right in front of you is a massive wall of BBQ sauces. The 7 most prominent bottles all share that signature, highly appetizing reddish-brown color. They all make almost identical promises on their packaging, from a rich tomato flavor and authentic oak smoke to the perfect sweetness and a beautifully glossy glaze for your family's weekend ribs or loaded cheeseburgers. You might think any bottle will do because they are just sauces. But behind that beautiful uniformity lies a rather shocking truth, a visual trap perfectly set by the food industry. Let's do a simple test. If you take a standard tablespoon, roughly 15 grams, an own-label sauce from Tesco provides you with about 2.8 grams of sugar and a mere 0.09 grams of salt. Meanwhile, that exact same tablespoon, with the exact same weight, poured from the famous Sweet Baby Ray's bottle, hits your body with over 6 grams of sugar. This massive gap in ingredient quality and health profile does not correlate with the cheapest or most expensive price tags on the shelf, as you might normally assume. And, surprisingly, the sauce possessing the safest numbers on its label could very well be the cheapest one, sitting humbly on the bottom shelf where few people bother to look down. Welcome to Basket Verdict. By the end of today's deep dive investigation, you will know exactly which BBQ sauce delivers the ultimate value for your hard-earned money, which one boasts the most transparent formula down to the exact percentage of ingredients, and which two are incredibly difficult to justify given their currently expensive retail prices. We compare these products based on the coldest, most objective data printed on the back of the packaging, including sugar content, salt levels, unit price, ingredient order, and practical application in the kitchen, rather than relying on subjective taste tests or million-pound advertising campaigns. Before we proceed to expose and rank them, let us establish the ground rules to ensure absolute fairness. This is a strict label and value comparison across UK supermarkets, not a medical laboratory test. To maintain transparency, we are using standard listed prices from Tesco at the time of our survey, firmly ignoring any temporary promotional offers or loyalty card pricing. All nutritional comparisons are accurately converted to a standard 100 grams or 100 milliliters. Why? Because those tiny, absurd 15-gram suggested servings printed on the front of the packaging are often just an illusion of marketing art, designed to make the sugar and salt intake look harmless. Furthermore, the law dictates that manufacturers must list ingredients in descending order of weight. This means the very first word you read on the back label reveals the core DNA of what you are about to eat. Finally, according to official UK government guidelines, a food product is considered high sugar if it exceeds the threshold of 22.5 grams, and high salt if it exceeds 1.5 grams per 100 grams. When applying this strict filter to the broad picture of our 7 bottles, a harsh reality emerges. Only Tesco's own label product sits safely below the warning thresholds for both sugar and salt. Heinz and HP fall into the group with high sugar, but have salt levels sitting in the medium, acceptable range. Meanwhile, Hellmann's, Sauce Shop, Bullseye, and Sweet Baby Ray's all breach the red warning thresholds for both metrics. Of course, this does not mean they are toxic chemicals that need to be banned. After all, BBQ sauce is just a condiment, and portion size is the deciding factor. But let's be honest with ourselves. Rarely does anyone use just one single tablespoon for a barbecue. You use it as an overnight marinade. You slather incredibly thick glazes over ribs on the charcoal grill, and you drench your chips in it. As the dosage increases, the discrepancy in sugar and salt between these brands becomes large enough to demand your serious attention, especially if you are cooking for your entire family. The first sauce to drop to the bottom of our ranking isn't there because it contains some controversial artificial additive or mysterious preservative. It sits there because raw, unadulterated sweetness has to carry the entire structure and flavor of the product. That is Sweet Baby Ray's Original Barbecue Sauce, sold in a large 510-gram bottle. This is an American-style brand, worshipped by traditional barbecue lovers. With a premium price of around £3.95, you have every right to expect a complex depth of smoke, spices, and the perfect balance of tomato. But turn the bottle around and look at its very first ingredient. It isn't tomato. It isn't water. It is cane sugar. Packing a staggering 41 grams of sugar per 100 grams, this is the sweetest formula, completely dominating all rivals in our entire test. If you try a practical calculation, when you use this sauce to marinate and glaze a large rack of ribs, the sugar your body absorbs will accumulate far faster than if you were eating a rich dessert. It is no longer a sauce. It is almost like a liquid, smoke-flavored sweet designed specifically for meat. If you are addicted to that sticky, sickly sweet Kansas City style, this might be exactly what you need. But for the vast majority of everyday meals, a price tag of nearly £4 for a product built on a core foundation of sugar is an investment very hard to justify. Right next to it, sitting second from the bottom in our Think Twice category, is Bullseye Original BBQ Sauce. Sold in a smaller 300-milliliter bottle for about £3, this brand aggressively markets a bold, masculine, smoky campfire identity. Looking at the ingredient list, it is commendable that tomato puree thankfully takes the #1 spot, indicating a real food foundation. However, the serious issue lies in the salt content. This sauce contains 2.5 grams of salt per 100 milliliters, the highest, saltiest level of all 7 products. When you convert the volume and retail price to a standard unit price, it comes out to a staggering £10 a liter. You are paying a tremendously expensive price for a small bottle packed with salt. This massive salt hit might instantly stimulate your taste buds, making the meat seem richer and more robust. But it is simultaneously creating an unnecessary burden on your body. This bottle only truly makes sense if you use it as an intensely strong seasoning in very small quantities. Using it as an everyday dipping sauce is a waste of money and highly unfriendly to your health. Those two sauces failed our value test for completely opposite reasons. One leads with overpowering sweetness, while the other pushes salt to the absolute limit, accompanied by an expensive price tag. So, what should you ask yourself when you pick up any bottle of sauce in the supermarket? The lesson here boils down to 3 golden rules. First, what is ingredient #1? If it is sugar, you are buying a trick on your taste buds. Second, what are the actual numbers per 100 grams? Never trust those absurdly tiny 15-gram suggested servings that brands print on the front to misdirect you. And third, what are you actually paying for? A grand imported label or a rustic-looking glass bottle does not guarantee that the sugar inside will be any lower. A short ingredient list does not automatically transform a sauce into a health food. And conversely, supermarket-owned labels are not automatically poor choices stuffed with chemicals. The remaining 5 sauces in our list beat the bottom 2, but they do so thanks to completely different strengths, catering to very different types of shoppers. If absolute transparency is your highest priority when doing your grocery run, Sauce Shop Original BBQ Sauce is the undeniable winner. Priced at about £2.80 for 340 grams, this UK-made brand proudly declares right on the label that exactly 56% of their recipe is tomato puree. A manufacturer revealing the exact percentage of their main ingredient is incredibly rare in the sauce industry. Their ingredient list is perfectly clear, specific, easy to read, and has absolutely nothing to hide. However, this transparency comes with a profound practical lesson. Despite using recognizable ingredients, this bottle still falls into the high sugar group with 31.9 grams and high salt with 1.61 grams. This proves the truth that natural ingredients and an artisanal production process do not automatically mean the product is diet food. You don't choose Sauce Shop because it's low in sugar. You choose it because you want to know exactly what you are eating and are perfectly willing to pay a premium price for that clarity. On the other hand, if you have a large family, consume massive amounts of sauce every month, and simply need a major brand at the lowest possible cost, Hellmann's Smoky BBQ sauce offers an incredibly practical option. They provide a large 430 milliliter bottle for just about £2.15. It boasts a very comfortable price and is incredibly versatile for everything from burgers to fried chicken. However, you do need to note that its first ingredient is water, which explains the cheaper price and somewhat runnier texture. Its nutritional figures also still border on the high thresholds. There is a very important detail to note regarding Hellmann's. Their allergen information on online retail sites heavily conflicts with the information from the brand itself. Therefore, if your family has someone with food allergies, you absolutely must pick up the physical bottle and check the label yourself before buying. Stepping up a notch in quality balance, HP Classic BBQ sauce provides a familiar and reliable middle ground. If you want slightly less sugar than the other major brands, but categorically refuse to buy supermarket-owned labels, HP is the logical stop. At £3 for 465 grams, this bottle restrains sugar to 25.5 grams. Tomatoes still lead the ingredient list. While 25.5 grams is still quite a high number, it has been reduced by a third compared to sugar-based bottles like Sweet Baby Ray's. This is a British classic, stable, offering a familiar flavor, and represents a safe upgrade for your morning bacon buddy. For the title of the most well-rounded mainstream choice, capable of satisfying every family member without inducing a sense of guilt, Heinz Classic Barbecue Sauce is very hard to beat. Priced at £2.89 for 480 grams, it leads its ingredient list with tomato puree and creates an incredibly clever nutritional balance. With 29 grams of sugar and only 1.2 grams of salt per 100 grams, its saltiness is significantly lower than a whole host of tough competitors like HP, Hellmann's, and especially Bullseye. It might not win on transparency like Sauce Shop, nor is it the cheapest, but it is the safest compromise. You get a mid-range price, a trusted brand, a large bottle size, and a tomato-based recipe. When you don't have time to overthink in front of the supermarket shelf, Heinz is the bottle you can grab without a second thought. But the biggest shock, the most spectacular upset of the entire condiment aisle today, belongs to our overall champion, Tesco BBQ sauce. This 440-gram bottle wins outright not because it boasts a luxurious origin story, but because absolutely none of the other 6 contenders can match its perfect combination of retail price, sugar, and salt. Just look at the numbers. At exactly £1, it is the cheapest product by a massive margin compared to the rest. Despite its rock-bottom price, it still uses tomato puree as its core foundation, and the best part is, it contains only 18.5 grams of sugar and 0.57 grams of salt per 100 grams. These are the lowest figures in the entire investigation, making it the only product to sit safely below the UK government's warning thresholds. Sure, its ingredient list might be longer, containing modified starch, and it's less artisanal than the premium brands. If you're looking for a deep, intensely punchy, smoky flavor, it might be a bit mild compared to expectations. But for a family trying to cut their grocery bills amid inflation, while simultaneously wanting to eliminate unnecessary hidden sugars and salt from their kids' meals, this 1-pound bottle is an unbeatable masterpiece of supermarket value. The real winner after today's video is not any specific brand, but the habit of turning the sauce bottle around before the barbecue begins. You do not need to fear the condiment aisle as if it were full of poisons. You just need to run 3 quick checks with the eyes of a smart consumer. See what ingredient comes first. Look at how much sugar and salt are in 100 grams, and mentally calculate how much that bottle actually costs per kilogram. Choose Tesco for unbeatable value and low sugar. Choose Sauce Shop for absolute transparency in the recipe. Choose Heinz for the easiest mainstream balance. And only choose Sweet Baby Ray's if a harsh, intense sweetness is something your dish absolutely must have. Knowing this, you have mastered your shopping basket and will no longer be fooled by any flashy packaging designs. Share this video with the person who is always in charge of marinating and choosing sauces at your family's next barbecue, because they deserve to know this truth. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for the Basket Verdict channel and leave a comment below letting us know which UK supermarket food category you want us to investigate and pass our verdict on in the next episode. Stay sharp, always read the labels, and see you next time.